Captain Zephyria floated in her command pod, watching the glowing displays with growing fear. Her ship, the Harmony's Grace, was dying around her. The bioluminescent walls that normally pulsed with healthy blue light now flickered weak yellow signals. Emergency patterns danced across the organic hull like a wounded animal's last breath. The Harmony's Grace was a beautiful ship, grown rather than built. The Cetacean Alliance had perfected the art of bioengineering their vessels over thousands of years. Every curve and surface was alive, breathing, adapting to the needs of space travel. But now, that same living hull was failing them. Zephyria's large eyes scanned the damage reports floating in the water around her. 3 days ago, they had been happily trading with the peaceful Vorthan colonies. Their cargo holds were full of rare minerals and artistic works that would bring joy to countless worlds. The crew of 60 cetaceans had been singing their traditional space songs, their voices echoing through the ship's water-filled corridors. Then the engine plague had struck. It was a bioweapon designed specifically to target living ships. Someone had infected their organic drives with a virus that ate away at the neural networks controlling their faster-than-light travel. Within hours, they were stranded between star systems, drifting helplessly in the cold void. Now, Zephyria watched 5 dark shapes approaching on her sensors. The ships were angular and cruel-looking, built for one purpose: destruction. She recognized the design immediately. Cruel raiders. The cruel hegemony was the nightmare of the peaceful galaxy. While most civilized species had evolved beyond warfare, the cruel remained predators. They swept through space in their metal ships, taking whatever they wanted and destroying the rest. No one had ever successfully fought them off. The few survivors of cruel attacks always told the same story: overwhelming violence followed by complete destruction. "Captain," whispered her communications officer, Melodia. "They're scanning us." Full spectrum analysis. Zephyria's heart sank. The cruel were cataloging everything about their ship. They would know exactly how many crew members were aboard, what cargo they carried, and how helpless they were. It was standard cruel procedure before an attack. Through the clear aluminum viewing port, Zephyria could see the lead cruel ship growing larger. It was a nightmare of black metal and red lights covered in weapon ports and armor plating. Scars from previous battles marked its hull like trophies. This was the ship of a successful raider, one who had destroyed many innocent vessels. "Communication incoming," Melodia reported, her voice shaking. The display screen filled with the hideous face of a cruel captain. His skin was gray and leathery, marked with ritual scars. His eyes glowed red with cybernetic implants, and his mouth was full of sharp metal teeth. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding metal. "Pathetic fish creatures," the cruel captain growled. "I am Captain Gorick of the Blood Render. Your ship belongs to me now. Surrender your cargo and prepare to be boarded. Resist, and we will make your death slow and entertaining." Zephyria closed her eyes for a moment. The cetaceans had no weapons. Their philosophy taught that violence was a primitive response to problems that could be solved through communication and understanding. Their ships carried no shields, no guns, no defenses beyond their speed and agility, and now with their engines dead they had nothing. "We are a peaceful trading vessel," Zephyria replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "We carry only art and minerals. Take what you want, but please spare my crew." Captain Gorick's laughter was like breaking glass. "Spare you? Fish creature, we are cruel. We take everything. Your cargo, your ship, your lives. That is our way." The communication ended. Zephyria watched helplessly as the 5 cruel ships took positions around the Harmony's Grace. They were like sharks circling a wounded dolphin. Soon they would begin cutting through the hull with plasma torches. Her crew would die fighting with whatever tools they could find, but it would not be enough. "Captain," said Harmonix, her science officer, "I'm detecting movement in their ships. They're preparing boarding pods." Zephyria made a decision that would change the galaxy. She turned to Melodia. "Open all communication channels. Maximum power. Broadcast on every frequency, Captain." Melodia looked confused. "Send out a distress call. Tell the universe what's happening here. Maybe someone will hear. Maybe someone will remember us." Melodia's tentacles danced over her controls. "Channel open, Captain." Zephyria took a deep breath of the oxygenated water that filled her ship. "This is Captain Zephyria of the cetacean trading vessel Harmony's Grace. We are under attack by cruel raiders at coordinates 77 Alpha 99 Delta. Our engines are disabled. We have 60 crew members aboard. We are a peaceful vessel carrying only trade goods. If anyone receives this message, please remember that we died as we lived. In peace and hope for a better galaxy. She paused, then added, to any ship that might help us, we offer everything we have in exchange for the lives of our crew. Please hurry. The message went out into space at the speed of light, carrying across the dark void between stars. It would take time to reach anyone, and by then, the Harmony's grace would be nothing but wreckage and memories. The first cruel boarding pod detached from the blood render. It was a spike of metal designed to punch through ship hulls and deliver warriors directly into the target vessel. Zephyria watched it approach her ship's side, where it would soon begin cutting through the living hull. All crew members, she announced through the ship's communication system, prepare for boarding. Remember our teachings. We do not fight, but we do not surrender our dignity. Stay together. Help each other. Let them see how civilized beings face death. Throughout the ship, 60 cetaceans began gathering in the main chambers. They sang their death songs, beautiful melodies that had been passed down for thousands of years. Even facing extinction, they remained true to their peaceful nature. The boarding pod struck the hull with a metallic crash that echoed through the ship. Cutting beams began slicing through the bioluminescent walls, leaving ugly black scars in the living tissue. Soon the crew would be inside. But far away in space, Zephyria's desperate message was racing toward an area of space that most galactic civilizations considered unimportant. It was the home territory of a young species that had only recently developed faster-than-light travel. A species that most of the galaxy dismissed as primitive and aggressive. The message reached a massive ship patrolling the outer edges of human space. The ship was dark gray metal bristling with weapons and armor. It was called the Indomitable, and it was Earth's newest and most powerful warship. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Sarah Chen was about to make a decision that would introduce the galaxy to humanity's particular approach to justice. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the U.S. Indomitable, watching the stars through the massive viewing screen. This was her ship's first patrol mission beyond Earth's solar system. After decades of preparation, humanity was finally ready to explore the galaxy as equals, not as helpless newcomers. The Indomitable was humanity's pride and joy. Over a kilometer long and packed with the most advanced weapons Earth could build, it represented everything humans had learned about warfare over thousands of years. The ship carried enough firepower to level a small moon, and its crew of 2,000 were the best soldiers, pilots, and officers humanity could provide. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Commander Williams from the communication station. "We're receiving a signal." "It's strange." Chen turned toward the young officer. "Strange how?" "It's a distress call, but the language is completely alien. The computer is working on translation, but it might take a few minutes." Chen nodded. They had expected to encounter alien civilizations eventually, but this was their first real contact. "Put it on speakers once you have something, and alert Dr. Martinez in the linguistics department." The bridge crew worked quietly while the ship's powerful computers analyzed the alien message. The Indomitable continued its steady course through space, its sensors constantly scanning for threats or interesting discoveries. This patrol was supposed to be routine, a way to test their systems and establish humanity's presence in this sector. "Translation coming through now, Admiral," Williams reported. "It's definitely a distress call." The bridge speakers crackled to life with a translated voice, feminine and clearly terrified. "This is Captain Zephyria of the cetacean trading vessel Harmony's Grace. We are under attack by cruel raiders at coordinates 77 Alpha 99 Delta. Our engines are disabled. We have 60 crew members aboard. We are a peaceful vessel carrying only trade goods." Chen felt a cold anger building in her chest. Pirates attacking innocent merchants was something humanity understood very well. In Earth's history, such predators had always been dealt with harshly. The message continued. "If anyone receives this message, please remember that we died as we lived, in peace and hope for a better galaxy. To any ship that might help us, we offer everything we have in exchange for the lives of our crew. Please hurry." Silence fell over the bridge. The crew looked to their admiral, waiting for orders. Chen studied the tactical display that showed the alien ship's location. It was less than 2 hours away at maximum speed. "Analysis, Mr. Peterson," Chen said to her tactical officer. Commander Peterson pulled up the data on his screen. The signal originated from these coordinates. According to our star charts, it's empty space between two star systems. Perfect place for an ambush. What do we know about these crew they mentioned? Nothing in our databases, Admiral. But the context suggests they're hostile raiders of some kind. Chen turned to her science officer. Dr. Reyes, what can you tell me about these cetaceans? The elderly scientist checked her instruments. Based on the ship's energy signature and the voice patterns, I'd guess they're an aquatic species. Their technology seems to be bio-based rather than mechanical. The distress call suggests they're non-violent. Non-violent traders being attacked by raiders, Chen summarized. She thought about humanity's long history of dealing with pirates and predators. Every civilization had to face this choice eventually. Ignore the suffering of others, or stand up to those who prey on the weak. Admiral, said her executive officer. Captain Rodriguez, we have no treaty obligations to these aliens. This isn't our fight. Chen looked around the bridge at her crew. These were good people, the kind who had joined the space service to explore and protect. She could see in their faces that they already knew what her decision would be. Mr. Williams, open a ship-wide communication channel. Channel open. Admiral. Chen activated the intercom that would carry her voice to every corner of the Indomitable. Attention all hands. We have received a distress call from an alien vessel under attack by pirates. 60 innocent lives are at stake. We are going to render assistance. All departments prepare for combat operations. We are about to show the galaxy what humans do to those who prey on the helpless. The bridge erupted in quiet activity as the crew began preparing for battle. Throughout the ship, 2,000 men and women moved to their combat stations with practiced efficiency. This was what they had trained for, protecting those who could not protect themselves. Helm, plot a course for those coordinates. Maximum speed, Chen ordered. Course plotted, Admiral. We can be there in 97 minutes, make it 80. Engineering. I want everything this ship has. Deep in the ship's engine room, Chief Engineer Roberts smiled grimly as he pushed the fusion reactors beyond their normal operating parameters. The Indomitable leaped forward like a hunting wolf, its sleek hull cutting through space at incredible speed. Tactical, what are our weapon system status? Chen asked. Commander Peterson ran through his checklist. All railguns operational and loaded. Missile tubes armed with standard kinetic warheads. Plasma cannons charged and ready. Point defense systems online. Admiral, we're ready for anything, Chen nodded. The Indomitable was designed to fight against the best weapons humanity could imagine. Whatever these cruel raiders had, it was unlikely to match human military technology. Communications, try to contact this Captain Zephyria. Let her know help is coming. Williams worked at his station for several minutes before shaking his head. No response, Admiral. Either their communications are down or they're already dead, Chen finished grimly. Then we'll make sure their deaths are avenged. The Indomitable raced through space toward an encounter that would change galactic history. None of the crew knew they were about to become the first humans to engage in interstellar warfare. They only knew that somewhere ahead innocent people were dying, and that was something humanity had never been able to tolerate. In the weapon bays, automated systems checked and rechecked the massive railguns that could fire metal projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. In the missile compartments, hundreds of warheads armed themselves, their guidance systems already calculating optimal attack patterns. Throughout the ship, men and women who had sworn to protect Earth and its allies prepared to extend that protection to complete strangers. Admiral Chen stood at the center of it all, calm and determined. She had read the histories of every great naval commander in Earth's past. Nelson, Nimitz, Chen herself understood that sometimes peace could only be preserved through the application of overwhelming force against those who threatened it. Time to target? She asked. 63 minutes, Admiral. Chen hoped they would arrive in time to save at least some of the alien crew. But even if they were too late, the galaxy was about to learn an important lesson about humanity. Earth's children did not tolerate bullies. The Indomitable dropped out of faster-than-light travel, with a massive burst of energy that lit up every sensor within 100,000 kilometers. Admiral Chen watched the tactical display as 5 alien ships came into view, surrounding a smaller vessel that was clearly the source of the distress call. My God, whispered Dr. Reyes from her science station. Look at that ship. The Harmony's grace was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Instead of metal and circuits, it appeared to be grown rather than built. Organic curves flowed along its hull, and bioluminescent patterns pulsed weakly across its surface like a dying heartbeat. It was beautiful and alien and clearly in terrible trouble. The 5 attacking ships were the complete opposite. Angular and brutal, they were covered in weapon ports and armor plating. Scorch marks and battle damage decorated their hulls like trophies. These were the ships of predators built for one purpose, destroying other vessels. Tactical analysis, Chen ordered. Commander Peterson studied his readings. The damaged ship appears to be biotechnology-based. Very advanced, but no detectable weapons. The 5 attackers are conventional technology, heavily armed. I'm reading plasma cannons, missile tubes, and what looks like boarding equipment. Life signs. Difficult to tell with the bioship, but the attackers definitely have crews. Roughly 50 beings per ship. Chen could see boarding pods attached to the alien trader's hull like metal parasites. The attack was already underway. Distance to targets: 40,000 kilometers and closing. Perfect range for our railguns. Mr. Peterson, prepare to fire on the lead attacker. Full power. On the lead cruel ship, Captain Gorik was enjoying himself immensely. His warriors had cut through the alien hull in 3 places and were now inside the bioship, herding the pathetic creatures toward the cargo holds. The cetaceans offered no resistance, just as he had expected. Most civilized species were too weak to fight properly. "Captain," called his sensor operator. "New contact. Large ship, unknown configuration." Gorik looked at the display with mild interest. Another victim, perhaps. Classification? Unknown, Captain. The energy signature is strange. Very high power output. Through the viewing port, Gorik could see the newcomer approaching. It was a gray metal wedge bristling with what looked like weapon ports, but that was impossible. No civilized species built ships like that anymore. Warfare was considered primitive by all advanced cultures. "Open communications," Gorik ordered. "Let's see what these fools want." The communication screen remained blank. Instead, the unknown ship simply continued its approach. Gorik felt the first stirring of unease. This was not normal behavior for a civilized species. "Captain," his sensor operator shouted. Energy spike from the unknown vessel. "They're locking weapons on us." Gorik started to laugh. Weapons? What civilized species would dare? His words were cut off as the Indomitable's forward railgun fired. The tungsten projectile, accelerated to tremendous velocity by magnetic fields, crossed the space between ships in less than a second. It struck the bloodrender amidships with the force of a small nuclear weapon. The impact was devastating. The cruel ship's armor, designed to deflect energy weapons and resist boarding actions, offered no protection against a solid projectile moving at such incredible speed. The tungsten slug punched completely through the ship, creating a hole 3 meters wide and destroying everything in its path. Alarm screamed throughout the bloodrender as atmosphere rushed out through the massive wound. Gorik was thrown from his command chair as the ship shuddered under the impact. Half his bridge crew was dead, killed by flying debris and system explosions. "Damage report," Gorik screamed. "Hull breach on 7 decks. Engine room destroyed. Weapon systems offline." His surviving officers reported in panic. Gorik could not believe what was happening. In 30 years of raiding, no one had ever shot back. Civilized species simply did not fight. They surrendered, they ran, they begged for mercy. They did not fire devastating weapons without warning. On the Indomitable, Admiral Chen watched the results of their first shot with grim satisfaction. The lead attacker was crippled but not destroyed. Good. She wanted survivors to spread the word about what happened to those who preyed on innocents. "Target the second ship," she ordered. "Plasma cannons this time. Let's see how their shields handle directed energy." The Indomitable's plasma cannons were humanity's latest achievement in weapons technology. They fired streams of superheated matter contained in magnetic fields, capable of burning through any known armor. The beams lanced out across space, striking the second cruel ship's shields with brilliant flashes of light. The shields lasted exactly 2 seconds. The plasma beams burned through the energy barriers as if they were tissue paper, then continued on to slice deep gouges in the ship's hull. Secondary explosions rippled along the cruel vessel as the superheated plasma found fuel lines and ammunition storage areas. Captain Vorthak of the second ship watched in horror as his shields collapsed under the alien attack. This was impossible. His ship carried the finest cruel military technology, shields that had deflected every weapon the galaxy could produce. Yet these newcomers cut through them like they were nothing. "Return fire," he screamed at his weapons crew. Plasma bolts and missiles launched from the remaining cruel ships racing toward the human vessel. The crews watched eagerly, expecting to see the arrogant newcomer destroyed by their combined firepower. Instead, they witnessed something that shattered their understanding of space combat. The Indomitable's point defense systems came online. Hundreds of small laser cannons and rapid-fire projectile weapons created a geometric pattern of destruction around the human ship. Every incoming missile was tracked, targeted, and destroyed before it could reach its target. Plasma bolts that should have crippled any ship were absorbed by advanced shielding that seemed to treat the attacks as minor annoyances. Admiral Chen watched the enemy weapons fire with professional interest. "Their technology is about 50 years behind ours," she commented to her tactical officer. "Primitive plasma weapons and unguided missiles. No wonder they prey on peaceful traders." The third cruel ship tried to flee, its captain recognizing that they faced something far beyond their ability to fight. But the Indomitable's missile systems were faster than any cruel ship. A spread of 6 missiles, each guided by advanced artificial intelligence and carrying warheads designed to penetrate heavy armor, caught the fleeing vessel before it could escape. The explosions lit up space like artificial stars. When the light faded, the third cruel ship was nothing but expanding debris. Captain Zephyria and her crew watched from their damaged ship in amazement. The attack that had seemed so overwhelming just minutes ago was being systematically destroyed by a single vessel. The newcomers fought with a precision and brutality that was both terrifying and wonderful. "Who are they?" whispered Melodia from her communication station. Zephyria had no answer. She had never seen weapons like these, never imagined that anyone in the civilized galaxy possessed such devastating firepower. Yet these strangers were using it to save her crew. The fourth cruel ship lasted 30 seconds. The fifth tried to surrender, broadcasting desperate pleas for mercy in a dozen galactic languages. Admiral Chen considered the request for exactly 5 seconds before ordering her weapons officer to destroy it as well. "No mercy for pirates," she said quietly. "Let the galaxy know that this is what happens to those who prey on the innocent." In less than 10 minutes, 5 cruel ships had been reduced to 1 crippled vessel and 4 expanding clouds of debris. The Bloodrender drifted helplessly, its crew trapped in damaged compartments waiting for whatever these terrifying newcomers would do next. Admiral Chen opened a communication channel to the bioship. "Captain Zephyria, this is Admiral Chen of the Earth vessel Indomitable. Are you and your crew safe?" Captain Zephyria stared at the communication screen in amazement. The face looking back at her was unlike any species she had ever encountered. The being had pink skin, small eyes, and strange fur growing only on the top of its head. But what struck her most was the expression of concern in those alien features. "Admiral Chen," Zephyria managed to say, her voice still shaking from the shock of her rescue. We are alive. Many of my crew are injured, but we are alive thanks to you." Admiral Chen nodded. "We're going to send medical teams over to help your wounded. Our doctors have been studying your species biology from your distress signal. They think they can help." Zephyria felt tears forming in her large eyes. In all her years of space travel, she had never encountered such kindness from strangers. "But who are you? What species fights like this? I have never seen such weapons." "We're humans from a planet called Earth," Chen replied. "We received your distress call and came as quickly as we could. We don't tolerate pirates in our space." "Your space?" Zephyria looked confused. "But this sector is unclaimed territory. No major power patrols here," Chen smiled grimly. "It's claimed now. Humanity is expanding our protection zone. Any peaceful ship in this area is under our guard." Throughout the Harmony's grace, Cetacean crew members were slowly emerging from their hiding places. They had expected to die horribly at the hands of cruel raiders. Instead, they found themselves rescued by beings who seemed as comfortable with violence as the cruel, but used it to protect rather than destroy. Harmonix, the science officer, was scanning the human ship with every instrument they had. "Captain," he whispered to Zephyria, "their technology is incredible. Those weapons they used, I've never seen anything like them, and their ship's power output is enormous." On the Indomitable, Admiral Chen was receiving similar reports from her own science teams. Dr. Reyes had been analyzing the bioship with fascination. "Admiral, their technology is amazing," Dr. Reyes reported. "That ship is actually alive. It grows, heals itself, adapts to damage. It's more advanced than anything we have, just in a completely different direction. Chen nodded. What about the attackers? Commander Peterson checked his tactical analysis. The cruel ships were using fairly primitive technology by our standards. Basic plasma weapons, simple missiles, energy shields we could cut through easily. But Admiral, the concerning thing is that they seemed surprised we fought back. Surprised? Their tactics were all wrong for fighting a military vessel. They approached like they expected us to surrender or run away. These beings are used to fighting opponents who don't fight back. Chen felt a cold realization settling over her. Are you telling me that most species in this galaxy are defenseless? That's what it looks like, Admiral. The bioship had no weapons at all. Advanced technology, but nothing designed for combat. Dr. Martinez from the linguistics department approached with a troubled expression. Admiral, I've been analyzing the communication patterns from both ships. The cetaceans use language structures that suggest a highly peaceful culture. Words for violence or warfare seem to be missing from their vocabulary entirely. And the cruel? The opposite. Their language is full of terms for conquest, domination, and destruction. They seem to be a predator species that preys on defenseless civilizations. Chen looked out at the drifting wreckage of the cruel ships. Humanity had just stumbled into a galaxy where wolves preyed on sheep, and no one had taught the sheep how to fight back. Admiral, called Williams from communications, Captain Zephyria is asking permission to come aboard. She wants to meet us in person and thank us properly. Granted. Have her shuttled to Docking Bay 3. Full honors. An hour later, Chen stood in the docking bay watching as the strangest shuttle she had ever seen approached. Like the cetacean ship, it appeared to be grown rather than built. Organic curves flowed along its surface, and it moved through space with the grace of a living creature. The shuttle docked with a soft whisper of air, and Captain Zephyria emerged into the human ship. She was beautiful in an alien way, her sleek form adapted for life in water, her large eyes full of intelligence and gratitude. But she moved carefully, clearly nervous about being in a ship designed for land-dwelling creatures. Admiral Chen, Zephyria said in accented but clear human speech, I cannot express my gratitude. You saved 60 lives today without asking for anything in return. Chen studied the alien captain with interest. Captain, can I ask you something? Why didn't your ship have any weapons? Zephyria looked puzzled by the question. Weapons? But we are traitors, Admiral. Why would we carry devices designed to hurt others? To protect yourselves from people like the cruel. But fighting is primitive, Zephyria explained patiently. Civilized species resolve their differences through communication and understanding. Violence is what savage cultures use when they lack the intelligence for better solutions. Chen exchanged glances with her officers. Captain, how many civilized species in this galaxy have weapons? Very few, Zephyria admitted. The Galactic Council decided long ago that military technology was too dangerous. Most species have evolved beyond the need for violence. And the cruel? Zephyria's expression darkened. The cruel are savages. They reject civilization and prey on peaceful species. The Council has tried to reason with them for centuries, but they refuse to change. How many species do they attack? Many. The Council estimates they destroy dozens of ships each year. It is a tragedy, but what can be done? No civilized species would lower themselves to the cruel's level by fighting them. Admiral Chen felt a growing sense of responsibility settling on her shoulders. Humanity had stumbled into a galaxy full of advanced but defenseless civilizations, being preyed upon by various predator species, and apparently, no one was willing to do anything about it. Captain Zephyria, Chen said carefully, what would happen if someone was willing to fight these predators, to protect the peaceful species? Zephyria's eyes widened. You would do such a thing? But fighting makes you no better than the predators themselves, does it? Chen asked. We just saved 60 innocent lives by using violence against those who would have murdered you. Are we savages for protecting the helpless? Zephyria was quiet for a long moment, clearly struggling with concepts her culture had taught her to reject. Finally she spoke. I do not know, Admiral. My people have been taught that violence is always wrong. But you used it to save us, and that cannot be wrong. Chen made a decision that would reshape galactic politics. Captain, humanity would like to offer the Cetacean Alliance a protection agreement. We will patrol your trade routes and defend your ships from pirates. In exchange, we would ask for trading rights and technological cooperation. You would protect strangers for nothing but trade agreements. We would protect innocents because it's the right thing to do, Chen corrected. The trade agreements would just make it easier for us to do our job. Zephyria stared at the human admiral for a long moment. Then slowly she smiled. Admiral Chen, I think you are about to change the galaxy. 3 weeks later, Admiral Chen stood in the main conference room of Nexus Station, the largest trading hub in this sector of the galaxy. Around the circular table sat representatives from 12 different species, their various forms and features creating a rainbow of alien diversity. But they all shared one thing in common. They were all peaceful traders who had suffered attacks from predator species. Captain Zephyria floated in her water-filled suit at Chen's right side, serving as translator and cultural guide. The cetacean had become humanity's first alien ally, and her ship now carried a human communications device that allowed her to call for help if needed. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored beings, Chen began, her words being translated into dozens of languages simultaneously. Thank you for coming. I know many of you have traveled far to be here. A tall, plant-like being named Ambassador Thornwick spoke first. His species, the Verdani, grew their ships from living trees and traded in rare seeds and botanical medicines. Admiral Chen, your reputation has spread quickly through our networks. They say you destroyed 5 cruel ships without taking any damage. That is correct, Chen confirmed. But more importantly, we saved 60 innocent lives. And that's why we're here today. A crystalline being that communicated through light patterns flickered a question. The translator converted it to speech. The Silicate Collective wishes to know why humans involve themselves in others' conflicts. What do you gain? Chen had expected this question. We gain the knowledge that we're making the galaxy a safer place for peaceful species. On Earth, we have a saying, evil succeeds when good people do nothing. We refuse to do nothing. Ambassador Irelia of the Empathic Union leaned forward. Her species appeared almost human except for their larger eyes and pale blue skin. But Admiral, violence begets violence. If you fight the predators, will they not simply become more violent in return? Perhaps, Chen admitted. But they're already as violent as they can be. The cruel you encountered were planning to kill everyone on Captain Zephyria's ship regardless of resistance. At least now they know there are consequences for their actions. A small furry being that looked like an upright mouse raised a tiny hand. The Rodentian Republic has lost 17 ships to various raider groups in the past year alone. Our people are afraid to travel the trade routes. But we have no weapons, no way to defend ourselves. You don't need weapons, Chen said firmly. You need allies who have weapons. That's what we're offering. She activated a holographic display that showed a 3-dimensional map of local space. Humanity proposes to establish protection zones along the major trade routes. Our ships will patrol these areas and respond to distress calls. Any peaceful vessel will be under our protection. The representatives looked at each other uncertainly. Ambassador Thornwick voiced their concerns. What would you require in return? Military service? Tribute? Nothing like that, Chen assured them. We would ask for 3 things. First, trading rights so our people can exchange goods and technology with yours. Second, refueling and resupply privileges at your stations so our patrol ships can operate effectively. Third, information sharing about pirate activities and safe routes. The crystalline being flickered another question. And if we refuse this offer? Chen shrugged. Then you refuse. We won't force protection on anyone. But we also won't risk our people to save those who don't want our help. Captain Zephyria spoke up for the first time. Honored colleagues, I have seen what human protection means. When my ship was dying and my crew faced certain death, these strangers risked their lives to save us. They asked for nothing except the chance to do the right thing. Ambassador Irelia looked troubled. But, Captain, if we accept military protection, are we not abandoning our principles of peace? I struggled with that question myself, Zephyria admitted. But I realized something. Choosing to remain helpless in the face of evil is not peaceful. It is simply allowing evil to succeed. The humans offer us a choice we never had before. The ability to remain peaceful while still being protected from those who would destroy us. Over the next 6 hours, the representatives debated among themselves. Some were eager to accept human protection, having lost too many ships and crew members to raiders. Others worried about the moral implications of allying with a military species. A few questioned whether humanity could be trusted with such power. Finally, Ambassador Thornwick called for a vote. All those in favor of accepting the human protection offer? 8 hands, paws, tentacles, and light patterns indicated agreement. 3 representatives voted against and 1 abstained. Admiral Chen nodded solemnly. To those who voted yes, humanity pledges our protection and friendship. To those who voted no, we respect your decision and bear you no ill will. And to the representative who abstained, our offer remains open if you change your mind. As the meeting concluded and the various ambassadors prepared to leave, Captain Zephyria approached Chen privately. Admiral, do you really think this will work? Can humanity police the entire galaxy? Not the entire galaxy, Chen replied. But we can start with this sector and expand from there. As word spreads about what we're doing, other peaceful species will join us. Eventually, we might have a coalition strong enough to eliminate piracy entirely. And if the predator species unite against you? Chen smiled grimly. Then they'll discover why humans have survived on a planet full of predators for millions of years. We're very good at fighting when we need to. 6 months later, the results were already visible. Human patrol ships had destroyed or captured 37 pirate vessels across 8 star systems. Trade routes that had been dangerous for decades were now safe for peaceful merchants. The cruel hegemony had actually tried to organize a retaliatory strike against human forces, only to have their entire fleet destroyed in a battle that lasted less than an hour. But the most significant change was political. The success of the Human Protection Program had inspired other species to rethink their pacifist philosophies. The Verdani began developing defensive weapons for the first time in centuries. The Empathic Union started training their people in tactical thinking. Even the tiny Rodentian Republic began building ships designed for reconnaissance and intelligence gathering. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable as it patrolled the main shipping lane between Nexus Station and the Cetacean homeworld. Her ship was no longer alone. 2 Verdani biocruisers and a Silicate Collective crystal ship accompanied her patrol, their crews learning human military tactics. Admiral, called her communications officer, we're receiving a distress call from the Outer Rim. Unknown attackers have hit a Rodentian convoy. Chen smiled and turned to the tactical station. Mr. Peterson, plot a course for the Outer Rim, maximum speed. Course plotted, Admiral. Signal our escorts. It's time to show the galaxy that predators are no longer welcome in civilized space. The 4 ships leaped into faster-than-light travel, racing toward another confrontation with the forces of chaos and destruction, but this time they weren't alone. Throughout the galaxy, peaceful species were beginning to understand that sometimes the only way to preserve peace was to be willing to fight for it. And at the center of it all was humanity. The species that had taught the galaxy a simple but powerful lesson. Good people with weapons could defeat bad people with weapons, but good people without weapons were helpless against any enemy. The age of unchallenged piracy was ending. The age of protected peace enforced by those willing to fight for it was just beginning.